Judgment, a psychological thriller by J.N. Wdowski. Conclusion, Chapter 5. Early the next evening, Caroline sat in her living room watching Judge Joan, her favorite courtroom drama. She was distracted from her show by the sound of claws on glass. Turning, she noticed outside the family room's sliding door, the German shepherd sitting there. He stopped scratching and began whimpering loud enough to be heard through the glass. "I don't have any food for you," she replied, realizing that if she keeps feeding him, he will keep coming back. The dog oddly raised its paw, seeming to her that he was pointing to Peter's lounge chair. He whimpered even louder as he looked at the chair. "Sorry, I am not letting you in." She thought she understood what the dog wanted. "I don't want a dog in the house. I have no idea where you have been. I also do not have the time to take care of a dog. Go now, shoo!" She waved the dog away with her hand. The dog took off and ran into the dark. She returned her attention back to Judge Joan. 10 minutes later, her phone rang. At first she was nervous. It was another unknown call. She let it ring before picking it up from the end table next to her. After 5 rings, she finally picked up the phone and looked at it. It read, "Lieutenant Reynolds." With a sigh of relief, she answered the call. "Mark? I'm sorry to disturb you, but I have some news I thought you would want to know." His voice came through her phone. "I'm listening." Thomas Pierce broke his restraining order. "He has been arrested," Reynolds informed her. "What an idiot. He is facing 5 years," she pointed out. "That is your idea of showing me?" she thought to herself. "Thank you for letting me know. I feel sorry for him and his children." Yet another part of her felt relief that he was off the streets. 1 hour later, Caroline had just stepped out of the shower and began drying her hair when a loud boom of lightning flashed outside the skylight in the bathroom. Rain hammered against the windows, drowning out the night's usual silence. More lightning strikes hit extremely close several times. The lights went out in the house. She put down the powerless hairdryer and picked up a towel instead. She went into her bedroom and checked out the second-story window as she used the towel to finish drying her hair. The entire street was dark. It was not just her home. It was then she heard breaking glass from downstairs. She immediately went for her phone, but she was not receiving any signal. The lightning hit the cell tower, she guessed. The sound of breaking glass continued. She realized it was not a fallen branch from one of her trees. Her body froze as her heart beat hard in her chest. She reached for her gun on her nightstand. The only light she had were the flashes of lightning. She quickly put on something, and with the pistol at the ready, she decided to investigate the noise downstairs. Could have the dog busted in somehow? She hypothesized. She cautiously opened her bedroom door and stood at the top of the landing. Listening intently as she looked down the stairs, she could hear the wind and the rain whirling into the family room. With the small pistol ready in her right hand, using her left hand, she used the railing to guide her descent in the darkness with only flashes of light. As she reached the bottom of the stairs, she looked to the back towards the family room. As the lightning flashed, she could make out shadows moving in the room. Under the sound of wind and rain, she heard movement in the room. It did not sound like the movements of the dog. "I am armed!" She bravely moved towards the sounds and entered the room. She could see that the glass sliding door to the backyard was smashed in. The wind and the rain were ruining her carpet. She took one step into the dark room with only sudden moments of light from the flashes from the storm. She scanned the room as she pointed her gun in front of her. As the light flashed from the storm, she spotted David Pierce, soaking wet, standing in the opposite corner of the room. She aimed her weapon directly at him. "I am armed, Mr. Pierce." "You don't recognize me, do you?" He stepped out of the shadows. "What are you talking about? You're David Pierce. Of course I recognize you." "No, Caroline Wright. I am not David Pierce." He stepped forward. She moved towards the open doorway to the backyard. She could feel the rain and wind hitting her back. She stepped backwards as he stepped slowly towards her. The flashing light illuminated his face. "Look closely, Judge Wright. Think back when you were a prosecutor." She looked at him carefully, thinking back to the time she was a prosecutor. Her eyes widened as she looked at the features of his face. She imagined them 20 years younger. "David Kurtz? Have I aged and changed that much?" He stepped even closer towards her as she stepped back, retreating further into the heavy rain and wind behind her. It all came back to her. The courtroom, the hearing. David Kurtz was the defendant. She had him convicted for aggravated sexual assault. Late one night, at a local nightclub, David Kurtz, who was on a business trip from outer state, was making continual advances on a young woman. Spotting his wedding ring, she refused his relentless advances. At closing, the intoxicated young woman left alone. Stumbling slightly, she attempted to navigate the wet, dark streets back to her apartment. Unknowingly to her, David Kurtz was following close behind her. Once she opened the front door of her apartment building, Kurtz quickly pounced and pushed her inside. Brandishing a Bowie knife across her throat, he dragged her into the darkness under the stairs of the walk-up. "I spent 10 years in prison. Because of you, right?" He took another step closer to her, forcing her to step further back. She could feel the broken glass on the carpet cutting into the soles of her bare feet. "You should have gotten 15, she responded, still pointing the gun at him. "Do not step any closer to me, Kurtz. I will shoot." The next bolt of lightning reflected off the large kitchen knife he held in his hand. "You destroyed my life. You now destroyed my son's life. It is judgment time." Raising the knife, he lunged towards her. She squeezed the trigger twice. The 2 bullets struck him, but he kept coming. Smashing into her, she quickly found herself flat on her back upon the wet grass. Hitting the ground hard, she lost her grip of the gun. From the darkened heavens above, the storm poured heavily down into her eyes, mixing with her tears. As a blur, Kurtz walked towards her. She frantically felt through the grass to find her weapon. Standing over her, he put his foot on her hand, preventing her from finding the handgun. He looked down at her and then at the 2 small bleeding wounds in his upper left shoulder. "Annoying little pea-shooter," he snarled, before he knelt over her, using his knees to pin down both of her arms. With his good right arm, he raised the knife to plunge it into her chest. Then from the darkness, they both heard a low, guttural growl. Turning their heads, they looked to the source of the sound. Lightning flashed, revealing the sharp, glistening teeth of the German shepherd. The dog suddenly leapt towards Kurtz. His fangs dug deep into his forearm. Kurtz screamed into the storm as he dropped the knife. Sinking his teeth deeper into Kurtz's arm, the dog held onto him like a triggered bear trap. Kurtz stood, still screaming. He attempted to free his arm from the dog's grasp. Unpinned, Caroline anxiously searched for the pistol in the grass. Finding it, she gripped it firmly in her hand, raising her arm. She aimed the weapon at Kurtz's head. As soon as she had a clear shot, she pulled the trigger. With a soft bang, the shot hit his forehead dead center. She could see the life leaving his eyes as his body fell with a thump and a splash. As she sat up, the dog went to Caroline and began licking the rain and tears off her face. The storm moved on. The thunder rumbled in the distance. As the rain began to let up, she looked into the dog's big brown eyes. "You can come inside the house any time you want to, old boy." She hugged the dog. "I'm going to have to think of a name for you." She looked again into his eyes. "Do you like Pete?" The dog licked her face. The end.
To support the author, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.